Jonah had waited his entire life for peace, real peace, the kind that doesn't tremble when footsteps pass the door. After years of service as a military medic, years of saving, years of tucking away every paycheck, he finally moved into his own quiet suburban home with his teenage daughter. Maya. The house was modest but beautiful to him, the structure of decades of hope finally taking shape in wood and brick. No more base housing, no more temporary rooms, a yard, a porch, a place to breathe. But the moment they unloaded their final box, Jonah felt eyes on them, sharp, cold, calculating. Across the street stood Mrs. Whitmore, a pale silhouette behind lace curtains, watching like a judge no one elected. She never smiled. Her gaze was a warning. Jonah pretended not to see. He had learned in the military how to ignore discomfort, how to survive storms without flinching. Maya noticed too. Why does she stare like that, Daddy? Jonah forced a soft smile, but inside his chest, something tightened, an old ache, familiar and unwelcome. Some people just look too long, he murmured. But they both knew it was more than staring. It was suspicion, doubt, quiet, prejudice, dressed like curiosity. Days passed. Whispers floated through backyards like windborne rumors. Neighbors waved stiffly, too polite to be kind, too curious to be welcoming. People lingered on sidewalks when Jonah mowed his lawn, slowed cars when Maya walked home from school. They're just adjusting, Jonah told himself. But America had been adjusting to black existence for generations. The silence grew heavy. When Jonah left for work one afternoon and Maya headed to school, something finally snapped behind those curtains. Mrs. Whitmore dialed the police, her voice low, confident, dripping entitlement. Suspicious activity. A man who doesn't belong. Possibly dangerous. Those 3 words were enough to turn peace into invasion. Police cars swarmed Jonah's driveway like wolves scenting prey. They demanded entry, but no one lived there in that moment to refuse. Mrs. Whitmore insisted she saw movement, a lie carved from boredom and bias. Officers broke the lock, entered like conquerors. Drawers opened, cabinets searched, family pictures tossed aside. They handled Jonah's life like evidence of a crime he didn't commit. When Jonah returned home that evening, he found officers waiting for him, his daughter trembling in the yard. They offered no apology, only clipped sentences and dismissive eyes. Procedure, they called it. Justified, necessary, normal. The lock hung broken. The walls echoed with violation. Jonah felt something fracture inside him, not just anger but dignity stripped, privacy shattered. He filed complaints, but the department dismissed him like wind against steel. Just another black man unhappy with authority. That night, Jonah sat at his table, hands trembling around a worn photograph of his grandfather, a man who lived through Jim Crow, who was beaten for seeking a ballot. Jonah remembered the stories. Raids at night, homes searched without reason, black families treated like threats in their own living rooms. History felt closer than ever, like it had walked into his house wearing a badge. He saw his grandfather's eyes in the photo, tired but fierce, a man who survived by refusing to bow. A memory surfaced, sharp as glass. They think you got no power, son. Until the day you show 'em, you do. Jonah inhaled slowly. Silence was no longer safety, it was surrender. He began documenting everything, officers' names, timestamps, damage statements. He collected evidence like armor. He filed a lawsuit, not for revenge, but accountability. For his daughter, for his grandfather, for every black family erased under the excuse of suspicion. Word spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. People whispered differently now, not about him, but about her. Mrs. Whitmore's window, once a fortress of entitlement, now felt like a prison. She expected support, applause, validation. Her authority had cracked. Court day arrived like thunder. Jonah walked in calm, suit pressed, daughter beside him, shoulders high though the world once tried to bend them. Officers testified first, voices trembling beneath the weight of truth, trying to justify the unjustifiable. Mrs. Whitmore sat confident, believing history stood behind her. Then Jonah stood, papers, medals, service, commendations, the truth laid bare. A decorated veteran, a man who saved lives regardless of race, a protector far more honorable than those who broke his door. The courtroom fell into silence, not polite silence, but stunned realization. Prejudice had blinded them to valor standing in plain sight. Mrs. Whitmore's confidence shattered. Her face paled. The truth she hid behind curtains now stood exposed under courtroom lights. The judge condemned the raid, ordered settlement, forced reform, demanded public apology. The police walked out humbled. Mrs. Whitmore walked out smaller than she entered, her authority stripped away. For the first time, Jonah felt the scales of justice shift, if only slightly. He returned home, not broken, but new lock on the door, new strength in his spine. Maya saw more than a father now. She saw a warrior of silence turned into action. Across the street, Mrs. Whitmore no longer peered through curtains. Lights off, house dim. Shame became her new shadow. Jonah didn't hate her. He simply remembered. He knew too many like her, eyes that judge from windows, voices that dial danger into existence. He set up a camera one evening and spoke softly, steadily, the weight of history behind each word. Respect should never require proof, he said, and justice does not ask permission. His story was not just his, it belonged to every black family who had their door broken, their dignity invaded, their existence doubted. The house stood silent, but its walls remembered everything. Jonah closed his eyes, breathing deeply, reclaiming peace, piece by piece. The world may not change overnight, but one voice, one fight, one refusal to disappear could shake the floorboards of centuries. And Jonah had chosen not to be silent ever again.